The Jew saw them all, beat them all, and is now what he always was. All things are mortal but the Jew. All other forces pass, but he remains. What is the secret of his immortality?
What is the secret of our immortality, Seth?
Yeah, I was just wondering the same. I was going to ask you the same question.
I know we have that thing. We've been listening to this for 100 shows already almost, and yet it is a mystery
Um, uh, uh, um,
wrapped in rugelach. Yeah, I don't know.
one thing is that how's my volume, by the way? Good?
Good, yeah,
Yeah,
it's good.
good. Yeah, one thing is that difficult times make us smarter. Like if we think of any really difficult time in our life, when we're in it, we hate it and it's terrible. But when we come out the other side, we realize, oh my God, like I grew so much because of that. Like I understand life better, I understand myself better, I understand people better. I would have never been the man I am today and accomplished what I did if I didn't go through that difficult time. And when you take this group of people, and the more difficult the opponent is, like when you get to the World Cup or something, it's like the most difficult opponent, or the Euros, which are going on today, Copa
Yeah,
America too. When you get to the final battle, it's the most difficult challenge. So for a group of people who got processed through the machine called the Egyptian Empire, and got processed through the machine called the Roman Empire and the Greek Empire and the Persian Empire, um,
yeah, we make it
that
to the
makes
finals every season, huh?
that
Every year
that
we make
make
it to the
yeah,
finals.
that we did. Um, we should have like trophies, like world. Um, but that makes you you have to become very. I don't want to use the word cunning because if we have people who will say, "Oh, well, they even say they're cunning," but you have to become very brave, very clever, very um, ingenuitive. Um,
Ingenious,
ingenious. You have to have ingenuity. You have to dig deep. And I think if you take a
creative.
normal human being and process them through the normal incarnations through a few thousand years, I can take a Jew and process them through the incarnations for a few thousand years. But internally, what the Jew had to go through during those 1,000 years is like many, many, many times more cycles of figuring things out than a normal person who was a farmer for 1,000 generations, or a nomad, or I don't know, something else. The Jew had to, you take a creature. It's like a dog. It's like a domesticated dog today versus a wolf. Like he went through many, many, many different trainings versus just a wild dog who just also been around a long time, but he just remains a wild dog. Versus this dog now can sit, stand, beg, run, heel, come when you call him, get your newspaper, all right?
I was hoping for a better animal, but yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
no, I get it. I think the point that you're making, which is a good one, because I never thought of it in this way, is that there's nothing. People ask, we ask, what's so special about the Jews? In a way, because there's nothing special about the Jews. They're just like all other people. We even say it, we're representatives of all the nations that lived together, the congregated in Mesopotamia, right, 3,500 years ago. And there was a few who decided to go a different way when everybody was going, left. We went right, and then from that moment on, we started to go through this process, as you said, through this refinement, through this purification process, if you will. Like we have this example of the blacksmith, right, who puts the metal through the fire and beats on it until you get, you're left with like the best, the strongest,
Hmm.
purest metal. And I think in a way that's what it is now. Like maybe if we had the podcast 2,000 years ago, would sit in a window and talk to people, it would be more difficult to figure it out. But now we have all this history and all these patterns and all this stuff that's happened, and you can see that something is up. That maybe for better or for worse, we are different. We do carry collectively a different there's different training behind our collective existence, and you can't deny it. You can turn your back to it, but you can you can't just say no. There's nothing. We're like everyone. We're like you. I think that's the beginning of where the
If
problems
you
are.
went to if you and your friend went to school together, and then he stayed in school and opened a bar and just stayed in town his whole life and just served drinks every night, and you went and Marco Polo, the whole traveled the world and got arrested in Southeast Asia, and then climbed this mountain here and did this, and then you come back to your high school reunion, your 50-year high school reunion. You both are you're same guys, but your inner experience, the kind of people that you dated, that kind of or married, and uh, the challenges you went through form the person. And so here we are as modern people in 2024, and you have this group of people who had to acquire and from the best of the best that Earth has to offer. From
So
each empire, these people had to go process through each of the greatest things that humanity, um, each of
right,
the yeah.
and it also explains the fact that a lot of Jews did not start as Jews. They sort of joined the ranks, right? Like they went through the tests and the the boot camp, and they joined and even excelled, right? So
Not not
I
only
think
that, not only that, our it's so nuts who we are. Like King David, like came from incest. Like at every place you turn,
you have to say to everyone, it's okay.
no, but I'm saying like at
Some
every
things you
place, or
keep it in the
like
family.
or like at every place you turn, if you like really dig in and like actually read the sources, it's a crazy story. It's everyone, oh, we're
Crazy
Jews, we're
stories.
these pure people, that you're this. At every turn, there's some kind of twist that would make
Yeah, so
anyone gasp.
yes, so maybe that definition of who are Jews, the people who survived, that is maybe not such a. We always start dismissing this explanation. Maybe it's not such a bad explanation. But anyway, let's we have a great show today, great talk today on the Jew function. And by the way, we say it all the time, but if this is your first time tuning in, please do yourself a favor and listen to the episode 1, just the first 20 episodes or so. They give the full thesis of what we're about. And then after that, you could just sample the
And we
guests.
promise at some point to make it a easy playlist to do
Yes,
that.
yes, yes, yes. We're working
It
on
should
they're
be
building the
listen,
technology.
required listening for everyone to understand who the heck
E-
we are and what the heck we've been through.
Exactly. But for now, we have a great talk. We have a great guest. We try to get him for a while. He's young and dashing, I might say. He's an actor. He's a filmmaker. He's also an activist. I don't know if he was an activist before. I have a feeling that he was an activist before. I get this vibe from him that he has this activist spirit. But it's definitely now. I've noticed him after the October 7th. Like we noticed so many people sort of rise up, and so he's doing that. You may have seen him on Madam Secretary as Matvey Sokolov. He played that character. He's also a filmmaker. He's a great guy. He advocates for the rights of LGBTQ community, the Jewish community, and all kinds of causes. I told you. I think he's an activist at heart. So with that, I'd like to welcome Yuval David. Please join us.
Hello, hello.
Hey, woo!
Woo! It's good to be on.
It is good to have you on.
It's good to be had. It's good to be had.
Well, you'll say that at the end. You'll say that it's good to be had.
It depends on how good the conversation will be.
It's true. It's true.
I mean, but so far so good. So far
So
it's
far
been
so good.
great. I mean,
True.
this first less than a minute has been really spectacular, and I feel like I need to just give you so many compliments of such a warm welcome. I guess it's rare for a Jew to be welcomed so warmly into any space these days. This is wow, how refreshing. I feel like this is great. Thank you.
This goes on the trailer for the next 50 episodes.
With pleasure.
Where are you joining us from? Are you in DC or
I'm
LA?
joining you from Washington, D.C. So I travel across the United States, Canada, and Israel on advocacy initiatives, speaking engagements, workshops, production and media appearances, all basically full-time. I feel like a full-time professional Jew. And yeah,
Does
so
it pay?
I'm
Does it
right
pay
now
well?
in
Maybe other Jews want to.
I wish. we can talk about investments on, as the next question, how to sustain one's lifestyle. Yeah, I was just in Chicago yesterday, 2 days ago, and then before that in LA, and before that in New York, and before that it's been a lot. So
Wow.
it's
Travel with a green
where are
screen?
you? I'm like, oh my gosh, I always travel with a green screen and lighting and a microphone. It
You never
definitely
know.
makes it hard to pack into carry-on, but you never know when you might need lighting equipment, a green screen, and a microphone. So who needs clothes when you can have a green screen and a microphone?
So true. So true.
I mean, and I work out, so why wear clothes?
Makes the best out of every situation. So are you first an activist or an actor or
I'm first a Jew. I was born a Jew, and to be a Jew is to be an activist. It's how we're raised. It's what Jewish thought is about: Jewish religion, philosophy, education, peoplehood. It's about what can we do? What more can we do for our people? What more can we do for our neighbors? Which basically means that every Jew is educated to be an activist and an advocate. So I guess that's the answer right there.
that's what every Jewish mother wants her son to be a lawyer, right? When it's just
To at least do it professionally. If we're supposed to do this anyway,
So-
at least make some
yeah,
shekels.
So
make
when
some
you-
money
when-
while you're advocating. Be a profitable advocate.
Well, when you say something like that, so when I hear these things, like my not devil's advocate comes up, but a question is, are Pakistanis saying the same thing about being Pakistanis, and are Polish people saying the same thing? I know a Polish guy. He's an engineer, hardware engineer. Every time I see him, he gives me books about the history of Poland. He tells me how great Poland is.
Does he give you a good kielbasa?
No, but he gives me he gave me for Christmas this year, he gave me a book which was a Polish novel, but when you open it up, it actually had a bottle of vodka inside.
that's
It was
brilliant.
like a fake book. Yeah.
That's what they read.
So, but my question is, like, is it, if you were born Hungarian, is it the same thing, or is
If
there
I was
something
born
unique
a
about that?
Hungarian
We're always
Jew, no,
no, no, no,
you're
no, no,
asking
no.
about
I'm saying First of all, it's interesting because all the other thing, Polish is a nationality, right?
Right.
Pakistani is a nationality.
So is Jewish. Jewish is a nation. We are a nation of Jews. אנחנו עם ישראל.
All right. Okay. So this guy is
okay.
So
going deep.
you if you're because being Jewish isn't just a religion, it's also an ethnicity, it's a culture, it's a peoplehood, it's a nationality, it's all of these things. So sure, you can compare the Jewish people to the Polish people, or maybe you can compare them to the Scandinavian people. Maybe that would be better because it's a regional thing and we're descended from people from a specific region. And I heard your intro, and we've been blended, and people have married in, and people have raped us, and people have, we've gone through a lot, right? So we're definitely blended, but we're a people who are indigenous to a specific region. So I think a better comparison than your question is, saying maybe European people or other Middle Eastern people. But back to the question is, we were raised with this. People talk about tikkun olam and tikkun hanefesh, repairing of the soul, tikkun olam, repairing of the world, tikkun haguf, repairing of the body, and what those mean. And it's not only my body, my soul, my world, it's your body, your soul, your world, and and your neighbors. And we keep focusing on what we can do for this world. So yeah, Buddhism has a lot of thoughts like that. So we can compare Jewish thought to Buddhist thought. That's probably one of the first ones that comes to mind that really focuses on nature and the world. Zoroastrianism does so as well, one of the oldest religions.
Yeah, so I guess what I'm saying is it something specific about you, or if you were like Yuval David, you would say the same
Wait, did you say specific about Jew or specific about you?
I said it in a way that you could interpret either way, but
it's his accent. It's his accent.
My New Jersey accent.
Specific about you.
If you were Polish, though, would you be saying the same? Advocating?
No, I would
for
probably
Poland?
say "Skim shiv daish, takim shil daish," which means you lay down with dogs, you come up with fleas.
Oh, nice.
Good Polish expression.
Nice.
Nice. My Polish super in Brooklyn. I asked him, why is he so tan? He said all the funerals are in the middle of the day.
No, that's terrible. That's funny.
He was a great guy.
What's your question? If I was Polish, would I be an activist as well? If I was,
Yeah,
if I was Scandinavian,
what I want to get at,
active for the correction of the world, active for all those things that you said.
Sure.
Yeah, what I'm trying to get to is like, is this just because you're like a special kind of guy, or is there something about being a Jew that it's that
I am very special. I'm so special. I'm a
we're
unique
screwed. We got an
unicorn.
actor and an
Remember, I
you got an answer for everything.
Yeah, I do have an answer for everything. It's because I'm a Jew. You're raised. It's a fast room. The
Probably
Jewish
has
people,
conversations with himself, and then he
room.
argues with himself as well.
Absolutely. That's why, they say 3 Jews, 5 opinions. But the truth is, it's 1 Jew, 3 opinions. So, the whole ratio is off. I was raised as a Jew. So sure, my upbringing got me to always be an activist. I can't tell you what life would have been like if I wasn't raised the way I was raised. I was born.
I wanted to get you to talk about why the Jewish thing is so unique.
The Jewish thing is so unique because personally, Jewish identity is ingrained. It's absolutely ingrained in who I am and in what I do. I'm a Jewish storyteller. I'm a Jewish actor. I'm a Jewish filmmaker. I'm a Jewish activist. I'm a Jewish journalist. That Jewish identity very much is part of everything that I do, and proudly so. But I was also educated to understand that. I went to a Jewish day school from K through 12. I'm descended from my grandparents were heroic people, Holocaust survivors, and Vatikei, Israel. My grandfather is of the family that created Kfar Saba, a city in Kfar Saba. They come from the first Aliyah to Israel in the 1880s, and they learned how to be farmers. They worked land with no money, got jobs, eventually made enough money to buy the cheapest lands they could afford from some Ottoman landlord who wasn't there. The area was a whole backwater region, and they bought land and then worked more and then were able to buy more land. And eventually they were of the first 2 families that created Kfar Saba, the city of Kfar Saba, and became these agricultural pioneers. So I come from these people who fought for their lives and always helped their neighbors, always helped their families, always helped their friends. That's how I was raised. And my parents were raised by that. And my parents were exactly the same. And I was raised by them, and I'm raised exactly the same. So absolutely, my Jewish identity affects me as an activist.
Let me jump to now. When we had to do something like that, so it was clear, right? Like, so there's a land, we need to establish the land. Where does our generation have an opportunity to do something like that today, to help our neighbor, to establish the land, like to do something like, because our existential thing seems so much more, we are in an existential state right now, but it seems,
We are.
yeah, but it doesn't seem, and besides, well, where's the action for our generation regarding this? Like for your grandparents, they needed to buy the land, settle the land, that was clear. For us, what are we doing? We're like posting on Twitter? Is that like, what is it for us?
Sure. Every Jew has to be an activist. Every Jew has to be an advocate. Every Jew has to do something. There is no dividing our Jewish identity from the religion and from the land. It's all one. And when you hear people saying, oh, but there are anti-Zionist Jews, well, sure, there can be anti-Zionist Jews who never have picked up a Siddur, a prayer book, who've never celebrated Passover, who've never celebrated Shabbat, who've never heard that we talk about the land all the time. The land of Israel is part of our identity and our peoplehood. There is no separating it. So what do we do? There's a lot that we can do. There's a lot that we can do to not just help and sustain Israel as a country, but help sustain our people. That's what these tikkunim, the three repairing principles that are ingrained in Israel that I just mentioned, tikkun aguf, tikkun olam, tikkun hanefesh. When we say what is the guf, what is the body? The body is the land. The body is the body politic. The body is the body of the people. Tikkun hanefesh, the repairing of the soul. It is the soul and the spirit of the people. It is chirut Zion, as Jews wrote on coins after the destruction of the Second Temple. They spoke about the freedom of Zion, of Zion, of Zionism. This is a principle that's been around for thousands of years. So what is our freedom? Well, you know what our freedom right now is? So my mother doesn't complain about my wearing Magen David around my neck and saying, be careful. So we need to make sure that we're safe to be Jews anywhere where we should be safe to be Jews, that we should be able to have a land, that we shouldn't be attacked by neighbors who want to commit an anti-Semitic pogrom like they did on October 7th and try to kill us. So what can we do? There's a lot. I give you a list, Seth.
Wait, hold on. Before we get to the list, we want to let's just get some.
But I'm Israeli enough that I'm like, come on. Here's the list.
That's okay.
Get to the list. Why are you going so slow?
Well, we have an audience.
In Brooklyn,
it's a wide variety.
Slow, you didn't have your
Spiegler's now is in Israel. I'm in Jersey.
So you're no longer in Brooklyn.
No. It's been 3 years already.
3 years. Do you miss Brooklyn? You don't. That's one of the few places you'll actually hear somebody talk like this.
Yeah,
it's rare to hear this accent.
I was born in Israel. I moved to Brooklyn, to New York, and Brooklyn when I was 26. I stayed for 22 years, and then I came back to Israel. So about half my life here, half there. So,
but the point, you don't really hear people talk like this in Israel unless you go to Mea Shearim. You might hear it, but in Brooklyn.
I never spoke Yiddish. I never did the Yiddish thing. So
was nicht redt Yiddish? Yiddish is mit der Simche.
It's true. It is a great language. I went to a few Yiddish plays here in Israel. Sure.
It's a Volksbühne.
Yeah. No.
How many languages do you do?
What do I do or do I speak?
Well,
I do languages. I do whatever you want me to do. I'm going to do. You know, I gotta be a Jew who
has in the bio is like languages.
I know. I was watching the reel. It's like Russian. Yeah.
Horseback riding. Look,
absolutely.
Listen, before we jump,
to 1,000 different topics at the same time. By the way, I didn't even have my morning coffee. That's what happens when you want me to be on a podcast at 8:30 in the morning.
I know. That's good. Before we do that, I want to get a few things sorted because you said a lot of things quickly, but I want to pull back for a couple of things. Number one, you said Jews is this is that. Well, we know that a lot of the definitions are contradictory. So the question is there a unified definition for who is a Jew? We like to ask all our guests, who is a Jew? What is a Jew? Can you define them? A lot of people tried, many failed. Is there a definition that you live by, or that if people had to ask you, you could say it in like one line? What is it?
Who is a Jew? That's
what
the
is
question.
A Jew? Yeah, who, what? You can choose. You can pick and choose.
A Jew is a person who is of this unique people who understand our existence as a marginalized minority, where people try to define us by our victimhood, but we define ourselves by our resilient determination. Okay,
so first of all, it's nice. It's a nice. It's a nice.
Is that too
story.
Was it too nice for you? You want?
No, it's not too nice.
You don't sound impressed, Leo. You're like, it's nice, but
no. I tell you why.
It wasn't the best. It sounded very candid. It sounded like you might have said that before.
Yes.
Wow. I wish you would talk like this instead of talking like an Israeli who used to live in Brooklyn.
Yeah, we have a friend who can talk.
I miss this. I really miss it. I miss hearing Jews who spoke like that. They used to be everywhere, and now you don't hear people talk like that. I miss it. Hey, there you go. You're doing back.
Look,
No, now that would be this podcast would be so great. I mean, it's already great. Of course, everybody knows the podcast
of
is
course,
great. By
everyone
the
knows.
way, for all your listeners, if you've not yet tuned into this podcast, please tune in right now and make sure you follow, like, and share across all platforms, especially on YouTube, which is wonderful because it's free and easy to watch. Free is a good word. You will find that on this Jewish podcast. Free.
We're so shadow banned on every
promos.
platform, though.
Yeah, you should do all our promos. So you gave a collective definition, which is nice. It's interesting. But I have to say, a lot of people individually, they don't necessarily feel that they're that part of that collective. They're more individual in nature still.
Brilliant.
Well, so the question is, was it intentional, that collective definition? Because we care about that thing a lot, Seth and I. We talk about a lot, that connection to the greater whole, which is certainly unique to Jews in many ways. But a lot of people, are not comfortable with it, because people like to feel individual, and I'm me, and there's them, and all that. So if it's something good about the collective, they'll take it. Why did you? Oh, I'm a proud Jew because of all the proud things that Jews like. What do you mean? What did you do? No, I did nothing. But all these great Jews, they did all these great things, and I'm proud of them. So their pride rubs off on me. So that's nice. But I'm asking: can I be an individual Jew and still maybe not understand everything you just said, and still be a Jew and know that that's what a Jew is? Right. Is it something that I look for inside of me, in others? What do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, to be a Jew it depends on what type of Jew you are and how you define your Jewishness. We just discussed it earlier in this conversation that to be a Jew can mean multiple different things, or all of these things. It can be ethnically Jewish, culturally Jewish, religiously Jewish, nationalistically Jewish. It can mean all of these different things. So there are certain people who identify more with the culture, the ethnicity, the religion, the peoplehood, the nationality, or people like me that identify with all of them.
Okay,
so that is the diversity of the Jewish people. The thread of the Jewish people is, what? Life really sucks. People keep trying to kill us, but we fight for our survival, and we want to help our neighbors at the same time, until we help our neighbors so much so that we sometimes forget to help ourselves. It's a cyclical issue, and we're in that time again because we've helped our neighbors more than we've helped ourselves.
That's
Yuval,
true.
what do you do? What's the approach to the Jews? So you have this first of all, your energy is awesome. Second of all, feels like your heart.
Because it's early in the morning, and still this is pre-coffee.
Just want you. But you feel like
I didn't read the hate messages on social media yet, so. That's always a downer.
Your heart feels wide open and very, like, a very optimistic message. So when you come across other Jews, for example, you're also in the LGBTQ community. So there's a lot of anti-Israel there, right?
Is.
And you also have the Orthodox community who has who could have a different opinion than you on things. So when you come across other Jews who have totally opposite opinions than because you sound like you're like all for the Jews. So what do you do when you come up against the 50% of Jews that have totally different opinions than you and want a totally different direction towards how things are going? I have someone who I'm somehow related to through marriage who lives out in LA. She's from LA. She's an incredible singer, opera singer. But she's always posting everything about what tragedies Israel's creating every day, and all she did, wears a keffiyeh and like all this kind of, very anti-Israel. She's a Jew, but totally anti-Israel.
Well, she's a capo, and I'm sorry that you're related to, to somebody who's making it hard for our Jewish people from a lack of understanding of Jewish identity and history. And pardon me if I'm speaking harshly about a relative of yours, but I encounter Jews like that. And my first reaction is, when I encounter them face to face, very different than on social media and, whatever other, faux reality platforms, when I encounter them face to face, I say, it's so amazing that you're an activist. Like, this is amazing. We, as the Jewish people, are taught to be activists. Gosh, I'm so empowered to be around people who really care. So you say you're a Jew and you're against Israel and you're against all these atrocities. Let me ask you a question. Do you believe in women's rights and LGBTQ rights? Oh my gosh, you do? Me too. What are the countries and the nations that support women's rights and LGBTQ rights? Oh my gosh, it's only Israel in the Middle East that allows women to have an education like any man. Oh my gosh, it's only Israel in the Middle East that protects LGBTQ people and receives Palestinians and other Arab people as asylum seekers because of their LGBTQ identity or because they're feminists. Wow. Wait, let me ask you another question. Do you believe in equal access to education, freedom of religion? Do you believe that everybody should be able to vote? Do you believe that everybody should be able to protest against their government?
You're going towards
It's
the
like-
mind. The mind is not
Right.
going to win this, because the
And
mind.
that's why we lose, because we as the Jews focus on the mind, and we don't have a quick nursery rhyme that, because so many of these people believe that, oh, if it rhymes, it must be true from the river to the sea.
Because according to the
Palestine must be
mind,
good.
we
Let's
have all
give
the
them another
evidence in the
nursery
world.
Rhyme.
According to the mind, we have books of evidence on why
Right.
we're the best, but nobody cares. Not
Yeah.
nobody cares,
So-
but
so the thing
Douglas
is-
Murray
is-
cares, but like most people don't care.
Hold on, I'll make it more. I'll make it more difficult because you can handle it, Yuval.
Please.
Not only the mind we see it presents an issue, but let's say you had unlimited amount of money and you can bombard people with, you have all the time in the world to. It's also not really sustainable because you can't really reach everyone, and you can't really have these debates where you kind of, you can kind of break someone's warped worldview in 5 minutes and give him an aha moment about Israel. Those are nice, they're great when they happen, but it's not sustainable. There's it's 50 million of us and 1.5 billion of them. So what may be a more systemic approach? And this may, when you answer this, also maybe bring in the systemic reason for anti-Semitism. Because this is what we're really on about. We don't think, none of us think that anti-Semitism started on October 7th. It hasn't started 20 years before that. Hasn't started 200
No,
years.
anti-Semitism has been around for thousands of years.
For-
Called different things and had different rationale and justifications.
Exactly. So the question is, if you think, I'm curious to know, because you seem to be fairly knowledgeable and you kind of have a good feeling for it.
He did say
in your
seem
mind-
to be. He didn't say you are.
I want to.
You seem to be. It's why you need this accent. You seem to be.
Seem to be smart.
You seem to be fairly knowledgeable.
you
fairly.
sound like
God, it was actually
almost like a
that
smart
wasn't even
guy.
a compliment. That was
Shrouded
basically telling me that I
criticism.
seem to be an idiot. He's like, you seem to be fairly knowledgeable.
That
He didn't say you
almost
seem to be
sounded smart.
knowledgeable. You almost sounded kind of maybe
With the accent, you kind of sound
smart.
smart.
Kind of. Wow. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
And that'll be
You
our
could have at least-
episode forever. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
I think we can hear a word from our sponsor soon.
And now a word for our sponsor. Have
yeah,
you had Moshe's Bagels? Hi, Moshe's Bagels.
I
today.
wish, man, dude. I wish we had Moshe's
I could have a
bagels.
good bagel and a schmear. You could have at least sent a bagel with a good schmear to me this morning.
We should do that, Spiegler, before the episode. Like send a package.
We're
to
trying.
Oh, yes.
Everyone, they don't share their address and phone
No,
number.
I don't share my address.
You see, so you missed on the schmear.
I know.
So
What? I don't even remember what your question was.
systemically,
Because you called me possibly somewhat maybe
No,
intelligent.
no. You're a smart guy. So why don't you tell us what's
See,
the?
but that's the problem with Jews.
I
You
know.
can't just say something nice. I'm kidding.
So you're a smart guy. So what's the root cause of anti-Semitism, if you think there is one, and
There
what's
is.
what's the systemic solution to it? Not the symptoms, not the let's explain this to this
We're
one and
going
let's
to-
sue that
as-
one, and right?
Sure.
Go,
Your
shoot.
question. I mean, yeah, as an Israeli, I we shoot. That's what people talk about us doing all the time. So anti-Semitism has been around for thousands of years because there's a human nature about seeing the other, about xenophobia, about being afraid of the other, or trying to understand why somebody is different than you are. Judaism has been very insular even while we focus on other communities, we focus on our Jewish identity, we focus on our Jewish religion. Even if somebody wants to convert and become Jewish, they have to be turned down 3 times, according to halakha, according to Jewish law, for this person to really want to be Jewish. And we ask them, why do you want to be Jewish? Sure, wonderful, compliment us, be with us, join us, be an ally, but do you really want to convert? And then if you've gone through 3 no's, and you're still like, yes, I want to do it, then we're like, amazing, then you're a Jew. This is wonderful. Of course, you should join us. And I've spoken to people who have converted and have been rejected those 3 times, and they found it so odd. But what they understood is that we treat our peoplehood in such a special way. Now, with the beauty and with the challenges and with the history and with the storytelling and the narratives, I'm not going to go into that. But what happened is, because of that, there are people who say, well, why aren't you like us? Or why are you doing better than me? Or why do you dress differently than me or us? And we've seen anti-Semitism over thousands of years. The hatred of the Jewish people, well, you know what? It used to be about religion. Actually, even before it was about religion, it used to be about land and slaves, where the Jews controlled a region and other people wanted to control the region. So they dominated and conquered the Jews and took many Jews as slaves, raped, pillaged, killed. Okay, that's how it first started. Then it was about religion, saying, well, you know, your God is this and our God is this, and why do you talk about your God? Then eventually it became about race. And then in the 1900s, people discovered, oh, you know, it's not acceptable to talk about race, and racism is wrong. And then it became about land again. So they said, oh, here's the justification. Let's make it about land. So this hatred of the other has been around for a very long time. Humanity has always wanted a scapegoat, and we have allowed our Jewish people and our Jewish peoplehood to be defined by those who hate us. And that is a failing on the 3 of us here on this podcast today. Every Jew, every ally, we have failed by letting other people control our narrative instead of our controlling it. So what's the solution? How do we respond to your relative who's a capo, who's saying things against the Jewish people? Because there are a lot of those right now. Yeah. We need to find the simplicity of other civil rights, social justice, and human rights movement that simplified why we should be proud of our peoplehood. The Black is beautiful concept came about because Black people in America were condemned, were manipulated, were former slaves, were descended from people who went through horrendous atrocities for hundreds of years. So they had to say, you know what, we are beautiful, we are smart, we are brilliant, we have a culture. And they had to have this Black is beautiful statement, which was so empowering for Black people in America. We need to take a page from their playbook and say we need to do the same thing.
So Black is beautiful, by the way. It's got the 2 B's in there, and it's short, and it's like, it's not a rhyme, but it's like a you know, we don't have any rhymes.
We have Am Yisrael Chai. We have Am Yisrael Chai, and most people don't know how to pronounce it. Actually, so I'm wearing these jewelry pieces from this great brand called Megemeria or Megemeria. Actually, don't know how they pronounce it. A company in Israel. And when I was walking in Chicago, a woman walked up to me and she said, "Oh, I saw your necklaces, and I just wanted to say, Am Israel Chai." And I was like, Am Israel Chai to you too. It was great. I did. She was so like moved to come up to me, so I didn't want to correct her and tell her, "Oh, it's Am Israel Chai," but Am Israel Chai. That's what we have. We have this slogan. It's not a catchy phrase. Most people mispronounce it. So yeah, we need catchy slogans. We need better branding. We need to talk about our victimhood and victimization, because we are in an era of competing victim narratives where the biggest victim is the biggest hero. And at the same time, we also need to speak about our resilience and
there's like no competition though. It's weird. Like if we're doing the whole victim thing, like it's like we should be the champions of the universe, right?
You know it, but we say that, or there are people who say that, but in the same breath we say, yet we focus on the next generation. We focus on making it better. We focus on making our lives better. We understand that our laughter
Every Jew
is
in Boca is
defined
driving
by
a
our
Mercedes.
tears. Our
Like,
tears are defined by our laughter. Life has its ups and downs. We talk about that.
But hold on, I want to challenge something that you said. First of all, I think if I'm not mistaken, I did a little quick Google search. I think "Black is Beautiful" was coined by a Jew, a freelance copywriter in the 50s, which is funny. Not surprising, because there were a lot of Jews. We always
who were
find,
instrumental. Zionist American Jews were instrumental in the civil rights movement.
of course, in every movement,
using
in every
Zionist, using Zionist thought and Zionist principles to
in every human
help
rights movement,
people help themselves. Yeah,
which makes me think that maybe the solution is not is not necessarily a copywriting solution. Maybe it's just something deeper. I mean, that's what we're, Seth and I were exploring on the Thejewfunction, a deeper solution. Not to say that everything that you said is, probably something we need to start embodying for sure, our attitudes and everything. But the question is, why is it that all those things converge to make us who we are? Kind of like how you started to say, like, everything about my family and who I was, it all led me to being who I am, right? So if we look at history and everything that has led us to be who we are, it's almost like we've led a parallel history, as we said in the beginning, a parallel history that sort of primed us to be a certain way. And when you look at the patterns throughout history, you see that every time Jews behave a certain way towards other Jews, it has an influence on the external events around them. So it's not a coincidence. I mean, if it happened once or twice, say, okay, maybe. But this is every calamity is preceded by Jewish disunity, leading up to and including October 7th, right? I mean, so yeah, you can say it's coincidental. It sends a terrible message to our enemies. All correlations, but we're saying no, it's not.
Our enemies were aware of what was happening on October 6th, which is why October 7th was easy.
No doubt. Titus was waiting outside the walls as Jews were killing each other. Yeah. But what we're claiming is that it goes even deeper, meaning it's not simply the spirit of opportunity. Like, all right, let's just wait. Eventually the Jews are going to get at each other's necks. That's when we attack. I think there's a challenge here to being a Jew, and that when we rise to that challenge, when we actually manage to bring all those different parts together and keep them together somehow under a common goal, a common attitude, a common thread, right? When that happens, strength, power, inspiration, you name it, right? Like, give us some of that. When we are at each other's necks, the reverse. How do you feel about that?
I think it's a travesty that we keep seeing Jews fight amongst themselves. It's also part of human nature. It's part of being a family. It's part of being a small people. So if we were a huge people, maybe we wouldn't talk about it as much. I mean, there are 2.6 billion Christians in the world. There are 2.2 billion Muslims in the world. There are 1.2 or 1.3 billion Hindus in the world. There are 538 million Buddhists in the world. There are less than 16 million Jews in
Don't forget
the
the
world.
Chinese,
So
the Indonesians.
Right. So I can go on with the huge list, right? So we're a smaller people. So when we have these trends, we notice them a lot more because we're a smaller community. It's a travesty when people are fighting against each other, and when Jewish people are fighting against each other, and we have a disunity. And then the world, the history doesn't repeat itself, it rhymes. And when we hear this rhyme again, when people are trying to kill us, and all of a sudden we become unified as well. But we're not quite there yet, as Seth mentioned, of a relative who isn't supportive of the Jewish people. A lot of people are talking about that same thing, that we're seeing Jews who aren't supportive of the Jewish people. Well, it means that we're not at that unified place yet.
A friend of mine wrote a book about it.
A
friend of mine just wrote a book about it. It's called anti-Semitism. It's it's
no. So we're definitely facing a difficult.
So how do we fix it?
Period. How do we fix it is by empowering ourselves, by empowering each other, by being determined, resilient adventurers in life. Life is an adventure. What does that mean?
I want to go back to the question though.
Please.
When you personally come up against Jews, like for example in Israel now, I'm going to totally simplify it. You have secular Jews who say to the Haredi Jews, we're paying taxes, we're living here, we're sending all our kids to the IDF to fight.
Right.
You need to also protect this place and do it also. It's all our tax money and all our
Share the load.
Right. The Haredim are saying, we're Jews, we're carrying the Torah. I'm totally simplifying it just to get to a point. Without the Torah, what is this place? What are we through all these years? And we need to do this. So what I'm saying to you, for example, like to try and dress in a story like this, when you come up against Jews who are fighting for their life or feel really strongly about this, but have completely different opinion than you, totally opposite opinion than you, how do you personally deal with it? Like the capo Jews, okay, we can, for the time being, let's just put them on the side and not really get into that. If someone doesn't have, can't even be involved in the conversation, then let's not deal with that now. But the ones who really are, the lefty Jews are fighting for Israel and say you need to do, and the right Jews are saying, well, we need to be Torah Jews. It's just an example. But when you come against Jews who are totally opposite from your opinion, what do you do with that?
So I try to unify on shared values, because to be Jewish thought and Jewish belief isn't only in the belief of Hashem, isn't only in the belief of Jewish religion, it's in the understanding of the values that we find important. That's a major part of Jewish religion, Jewish philosophy, Jewish education, Jewish identity. What are the values that we care about? So in order to identify and resonate with another Jew who disagrees with me, I focus on values. What's important to you? And then we talk about things from there. And look, as long as somebody doesn't want to kill me, then absolutely sit at my table. This is where I begin.
Because I see in the Spiegel, give me 1 minute here to open this up, because I see what's happening in America, the United States, for example, that most people could probably agree on like 80% of the things, but the media comes out and just puts abortion on the table and just like splits everyone in half over one issue. Your approach I think is the correct approach. Let's figure out everything we have in common, everything we can agree on, and let's get a really warm, good feeling between us. Then let's deal with the really challenging stuff.
And that's what that Black is Beautiful thing was about. It was also about humanizing Black people in America during the civil rights movement. So it wasn't just a concept. So it wasn't just a theory. So it just wasn't a political debate. It's about humanizing people. So we once again need to humanize the Jewish people. And regarding how to do it, I'm an inclusion activist who practices radical acceptance. That's how I approach things. I want to include people, and I accept people, even those who I'm challenged to accept. So and when I feel the challenge, I'm actually excited by it, because it means that, there's something to work on there.
But when you get home and have to shout in the pillow of all your frustration, like what is it that that's really?
Well, I mean, I'm Israeli enough that I don't shout in a pillow. I'll just shout like.
No, I'm saying like when you're
shouting
like,
in a pillow.
No, I'm saying what I'm trying to say is like you're
spit into a pillow. If eventually I'm gonna like lay down on the pillow, I want to shout out in the open.
We have all kinds of people listening. Some people are listening to our show. They like to shout in a pillow.
No. What I'm saying is you go.
If you're shouting into a pillow, by the way, this is now a message to your listeners and to Seth. If you find hi, this is Yuval David here on the Thejewfunction. If you find yourself shouting into a pillow, you need to realize that change must happen. First of all, it starts with the pillow. Don't shout into a pillow. Shout out into the open. Be a true Jew who's trying to change the environment around you with your voice, and shout out into the open. And if you know somebody who is a pillow shouter, I'm sure there's a hotline that you can call. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Thejewfunction. With me as the guest, Yuval David. Pillow shouting.
That's
Okay,
Who
so-
shouts into a pillow?
What I meant to say is that
I don't even know what you were saying because now I'm
You're-
so befuddled by
okay, so
pillow
just give me a
shouting.
chance to recover.
I will.
You're
I will
going out
recover.
into the
Here you go.
world with this. You're going
Give
out
a
into the
pillow.
world with this radical acceptance. Okay,
Right.
but there has to be. I mean, every Jew has this. I'm not going to call it pillow shouting now, but every
No,
Jew
no,
has
it's-
this thing where he's at home or he's having his whatever
Right.
it is, where he has this self-reflection. You know, he's questioning everything that's going on, and I can't believe what I'm up against, and I can't believe that he actually said that to me. Yes, I did what I wanted to do, and I presented myself the way I wanted to out there, and I accepted him, but I can't believe that he actually said that to me. I can't believe he actually thinks that, or I can't believe how big the problem is, right? Like that's what I'm talking about.
Are you, maybe
Yeah.
Seth is asking you, Yuval, where do you get the strength, the energy?
No, this it's just in him, but I'm just really what I want to know is
No, I don't know if it's just in him. Hold on, Seth. This is a big thing because, everybody here, we this is now we're in a safe environment. We all talk a big talk, but we know it's not 100%.
Safe.
It's pretty safe.
And
Well,
the
you know,
green
when you're out-
screen is like sometimes intimidating.
Yeah, no, but when you're outside out in the world,
It's not as safe, right?
it's not as safe. And number one, number two, not everybody shares the same goal. To be also, if you have radical acceptance and we have radical acceptance, great, we can radically accept each other, and it's great. Maybe something amazing will be born out of it. But if someone is radically accepting and someone is radically unaccepting, then that doesn't end well.
Then it's an
So-
impasse.
So there's two things. One, there definitely needs to be some form of environment. You can just I can just walk into Gaza now or Jenin and be like, hey, I'm radically accepting, because you know how it'll end, right? So there has to be a certain environment that we say this is it. And number one, number two, it has to be again a shared goal of sorts, at least to a degree, right? Something that we can say. And then on top of that, there's the need to not run away from the battle, because to do it once with another stranger, it's great, exhilarating. But
Totally.
let's see you do it again and again, kind of like with a spouse or with kids, and then pick a bunch of strangers and then do it with them again and again, day in, day out. It can get like it can get, because Seth and I, it's part of what we're doing actually. So we're asking you, I'm curious, I think it's a valid question. Where do you get the strength when you feel like you just want to leave everything and just fly to a desert island, with the margarita?
Mm. Look, I was going to answer in a funny way because I still haven't had my morning coffee. I get strength from really good coffee. But the truth is, I get strength from the enjoyment of life. How can I enjoy life? And you know what? In 2019, Psychology Today came out with a study that in 2019, in North America and Europe, they were seeing the highest rates of anxiety, stress, depression, and suicide rates, higher than ever before in recorded psychological history and studies. Well, then 2020 and the pandemic came around, and the rates were even higher. Then 2021, it even was higher. So we're already facing, in just recent history, these extremely high rates. Well, you know what? Then the world situation started to get more intense, and not just for the Jews. Anger and vitriol just kept continuing and churning. And we're in this very difficult socio-political situation. And you know what? Then October 7th happened. And now we're seeing the Jewish people feeling this palatable stress. I mean, I feel it, like I actually feel it in my neck. I can feel it. And it's a horrible thing. So what do I do to make sure that I can handle this, and I can handle being a soldier in this battle? Because I believe that every Jew is a soldier, whether we chose to or not, it was chosen for us. The anxiety and the depression are things we all feel because we understand that we are attacked, and there are people who don't like us and they want to kill us, and they don't believe that we have rights to life like other people do. We need to also become more insular. We need to realize who our real friends are, who are the types of friends and the types of people we want to be around, which are the organizations we want to support and collaborate with. Because what October 7th did was a major slap in the face, punch in the gut, stab in the arm, whatever you want to say, that was a wake-up call. I feel like I've lost the vast majority of my friends. I often say it feels like 75% of my friends in North America are now former friends because they revealed what they really care about. And
Which
while
is what?
which is what they really care about, it's that they revealed that they are not as supportive of the Jewish people, Israel, and Zionism as I'd like them to be. Meaning, many of them who are active in Hollywood, in entertainment, in media, and in civil rights, social justice, and human rights movements, because those are the realms that I exist in, there were people who were posting and saying and marching and protesting and being very public against Israel, against Zionism. And some of them would say, well, it's not against Jews, it's against Zionism, or it's against Israel.
By the way,
and I had to break that apart and say, well, that means you're against
Jews. Great
Jews.
news for you in that. Hold on, just in that in parentheses,
Please.
I was at a great lecture just last week by Kent Haber. He's teaching in Rutgers, and he did a study on just that, because everybody was like, no, you can criticize Israel and still not be an anti-Semite. So he did the study, and it turns out that 1 in 3 who criticize Israel is also anti-Semite. It's not pure criticism of Israel. So you can tell them this: the data is in, and there's a 0.55 correlation between being an anti-Semite and being an anti-Zionist, which is it's a high correlation. The average correlation of things in life is 0.1, 0.2. Okay, so it's a very high correlation. And also that another study they did is they found that when people think of their mortality, when they contemplate their mortality, they're more likely to feel that the Jews are responsible for terrible things in the world. So you have all these great things you can now throw in their face.
Great. Thank you for throwing more facts at me. Facts are good, even though Seth, said that we use too many facts, and that doesn't
I just
help
think
us in the argument.
It's smart enough. You can.
It doesn't. People don't want to know. People just want something. They want.
We have
to
all
feel.
the facts, but they need to feel.
Exactly. But there's that expression, I might not remember what you said, but I'll remember how you made me feel. Mm-hmm. Right. So it's about how we need to touch upon the heart, because sure, I can say, well, if you're anti-Zionist, let me tell you why that means that you're anti-Jew, because Zionism is about the self-actualization of the Jewish people with socio-political representation and a connection to our history and our homeland. That's it. If you're anti-Zionist, that means you're anti-Jew because you believe that Jews shouldn't self-actualize and shouldn't have socio-political representation and should not have a connection to their history and their homeland. Right? So that's why an anti-Zionist is an anti-Jew.
Right. Or what we say is that, let's just forget about them, because we won't be able to convince them. There's no, we're not going to be able to do it.
And it's why we need to empower Jews and our allies. So you know what? Just like the BLM, the Black Lives Matter movement, started and said, hey, if you're going to choose between two businesses to be a patron of, to be a customer of, go for the Black business. We need to say the same things. If you're going to hire somebody, pay somebody, do work with somebody, whatever it is, go for the Jewish business or the Jewish ally, because our Jews and our allies are one people, and we need to just support each other much more than before. I've pulled my donation dollars from every organization that has not openly condemned anti-Semitism and that has not openly supported Israel. They're not going to get my money. I'm not going to be involved with them. And I recommend that other people do the same exact thing. Actually, I've also recommended that sometimes, especially for major donors, to only donate $1, because that triggers more in their system. If they see that you donated, 18,000, 180,000, whatever you donated, but all of a sudden they see $1, then, it will trigger a conversation. But, it's what do? We support each other. We help each other. We are inclusive of each other. Those are the things that we need to do more.
What's our Black is beautiful?
Was October 6th. What's that?
What is our Black is beautiful? Like, what is our thing that we can all get behind? Do we have something?
Why can't it just be simple?
I'm not challenging.
Jews are resilient. You are challenging, and that's being Jewish. Why wouldn't you challenge me? That's
No,
rude.
but I mean, I
What
want to
kind of Jew
arrive at it
wouldn't
to
challenge? No,
Okay,
you
so it's a
should
challenge.
go. Thank you. Words matter, my friend. Words matter. So challenge me. What is our black is beautiful? I mean, it can be as simple as Jews are resilient. Jewish lives matter. Jews are beautiful. Jews are sexy. Jews
Why?
Jews are sexy.
smart, crazy, sexy, cool. Jews. Whatever our slogan needs to be. Like,
But we all. But hold on. I think we're all. There was a period where Jews were crazy, sexy. You had
yeah, it was the
funny,
60s. It was up
right.
until 1967.
Right. No, even a little after. I mean,
A
it took
little
them a
after,
while to
fine,
get their
into the
resistance
70s, where you
together.
saw the Israeli with the hair and the open shirt and the
Yeah.
jewelry.
Exodus came out right in the
Totally.
late 70s and all
So
that.
we need that again. We need to
I don't think.
be
See, I
the
don't think.
underdog who fights and survives. And that's
So
what we
here's our big twist in the whole plot. I don't think we're getting that. I think we're being pushed towards something else, like not going back but going forward. I think all that's happening is pushing us, like everything in history. It's like everything that's happening is propelling you forward, and if you survive, you get to the next level, right?
Right.
Ice Age comes. Oh, I gotta domesticate fire and animals. Great. Oh, you did it. You move to the next one, right? So the whole thing. There's always a new deficiency is presented, and then if you can overcome it, you move on. I think that we are moving towards a higher goal. I really
Okay.
I really feel it, and it's based on also a lot of text that you read when you read about from the Jewish sages. They don't speak about being having a great catchphrase. I'm just simplifying again. They speak about something else, something a little higher. And I guess my question to you is, if you could imagine a good world, okay, what would it be like? And it's a tricky question because even without the Jewish issue, the world was not in a great place. So I'm kind of bundling two things together. What is the good world like if you have to imagine it? And a world that's really good, where people are moving towards something, higher, elevated. Because I think you'd agree that nature is always moving forward.
Yeah,
everything
nature is
keeps-
always moving forward, and I think what is happening
So
is
where are we moving to?
I think we're moving to darker times ahead. I'm short-term pessimistic, but I'm long-term optimistic. We are
Nice, me too.
definite. Yeah, I mean, it's like things are going to get a lot worse than before they get better, and that's unfortunate. And we see it. We've been destroying the environment. We've been disrespecting nature. As humanity, we've been disrespecting each other. We have been putting ourselves above others. We see all of these different things across humanity, across the human experience. Even within my own liberal, progressive, and LGBTQ movements, I've seen so many people who claim to be fighting for tolerance and inclusion, so much so that they ultimately do not tolerate and do not include people who don't agree with them. And that is the antithesis to the movements that they claim to be part of. I've called BS on these people for a long time, which is, probably why it was easy for people to just simply criticize me as being a Jew Zionist, right? And because they're like, oh, look at Yuval, the Jew Zionist. So what is the higher goal? What is
Hold
the
on.
idyllic world that you're asking about?
So before the idyllic world, just all those things you listed up until the liberal hate stuff, but even before that, raping of the earth and this, what's the common thread to all of that? Why are humans the only animal that's doing that to its environment, to each other?
It's an unfortunate thing because we've distanced ourselves from our humanity, from our animalistic ways, from listening to Mother Nature. I mean, if you look at the symbiotic relationship that creatures and plants have with the planet, why they do what they do, every little act that they're connected to, we've distanced ourselves because we're focusing on these devices and our technology and all of these different things that we have created but aren't at the same time supporting the world. The reason a plant grows as it does isn't just for its own survival, it's also to connect with the environment and hopefully the survival of future plants. A plant doesn't
Great.
only care for itself.
Great. So
Right. So
take that.
where are we doing that? How do we do that?
Exactly. How can human who are like the plants and like the animals, but have like this extra ability on
Right.
top of that, like it's an extra degree of freedom, if you will, and we see where that has led us for now, but it's also brought us a lot of great things. Also,
Right.
so I think we're at the point where, like you said, there's something we're coming to reveal this thing that's hurting us. Something about the way we relate to each other and to our surroundings is sick, is broken, is not well.
No, there's a cancerous element of our society that just keeps spreading.
And that's why people are also sick with cancer. It's like, it's no coincidence. You kind of like, you see it, right? It's in the micro, the macro.
Right.
What if Jews had a role in fixing that?
We do have a role in fixing it. What if more Jews would be engaged in that role? That is a role. Where did the tikkun concepts that we spoke about earlier, the fixing, the repairing of the world, that is a natural concept of making sure you are respecting the environment, making sure you respect the worlds that you're part of. So we have to do that, and hopefully we can inspire other people to do that as well. Humanity as a whole isn't doing that enough. The majority of human beings are not doing it. And
if we do it now, close the circle. Where will that take us? Give me the idyllic society, and it's not idyllic like I don't have anything good in mind.
It'll take us to a place of more understanding and allowing ourselves to have disagreements without hating or killing or trying to destroy each other. But the truth is that is also part of human nature and animal nature, where you see rival packs of animals fight against each other and not immediately supporting each other, where a wolf pack knows that their territories of a specific region and they don't go into the other region of the other wolf pack, or where ant colonies will fight each other and kill each other. So that's an unfortunate part of humanity. So until we can become this whole, until we can become a unified people and prove why we are together, why there is achdut, why we need this unity, then we're always going to exist in disunity.
But maybe that the war part can be in the mind. We can have those wars because they're good. It's like a creative brainstorming, right? Like you can, this idea is better. This idea, right? Like you have a war of ideas and of opinions.
which is part of what you sound very Jewish now without talking like this. Why can't I have many ideas? You can. That's the 3 Jews, 5 opinions. That's an amazing thing, to have a war in the mind of what is better. How can I be better? If more people focus on being better, not for themselves, not just in a narcissistic, selfish way, but how they can be better for the world around them, then we'd be in a healthier place. And we're seeing what technology and social media has driven societies and individuals to be much more self-centered and focus on how they feel and how they're triggered and how they're impacted, as opposed to looking at the macro level. Like the whole when somebody says, when somebody says that they're triggered, right? That's something we've heard, like, oh, I'm very triggered by this conversation, so you need to end the conversation because I'm triggered by it. Instead of saying, oh, I'm activated by this conversation, which means it's making me think and making me feel something. So let me explore what I'm feeling and what I'm, challenged by, which would be a much healthier response, because for all your listeners out there, probably none of your listeners are the triggered types. And if they are the triggered types, they definitely haven't made it this far in your podcast. They stopped listening long ago when they heard that I'm a Jew Zionist. So for the people who are triggered, how are they going to advance when the world needs to stop to cater to them? the world's not going to stop. And do you know what? We all are going to bleed. We're all going to sweat. We're all going to cry. We're all going to be depressed. Life is going to really suck at a bunch of different times. But as long as we keep trying to move forward and better ourselves and better the society around us, we will be in a better place, and we will understand the complexities of life, and that life isn't always beautiful. And that's why we have thought and philosophy and religion and books and storytelling and art. It's to help us. So what is this idyllic world? Is for more people to understand that and not want to kill each other. We're seeing Islamists, radical Islam, wanting to kill people who don't practice the religion the way they do, which also includes other
Well, how many Jews can we get together under this banner?
I think we need to get, we're under 16
What's a good starting number?
So how about under 16 million?
Well, no, what's a good critical mass?
1 million. Can we get 1 million? Can we get 1 million?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think-
what's
I
a
think
good
we
critical mass number we can get?
I think, if we get, let's go for the 1 million. If we have 1/16 of the Jewish
Imagine if we
people-
had 1 million Jews who were all willing to have difficult conversations together, who are not going to run away when it gets uncomfortable, who can sit and talk with another Jew who's got a totally different opinion than them. We saw from all these trends that happen in the world, like it starts real small and then just spreads like fire. So we don't really need to reach 1 billion people right away. We just need to get this small critical
That's true.
mass, and it'll spread through the network. So that's it. We need 1 million people to agree not to run away from the conversation, to hold on to each other through the difficult things, and be as
that'll help.
one,
and that will
be
help.
as one through all of our differences.
Absolutely.
Nice. Well, by the way, we think this is we're not gonna have time to open this up here, but we think there's also a higher level in
What
this
is
game.
the higher level? Open it up. What do you mean? You
I
can't
don't know.
introduce something. You can't say, I'm not gonna tell you something, but it's good, but I'm not gonna tell you.
Maybe you should come again.
That was very goyish.
This is our way
That was
of luring you back for
That was very goyish.
another
of you.
conversation.
Tell me
Our
something.
Jewish
Actually, maybe that
way.
was very Jewish of you.
Very Hollywood.
I'm thinking something, but I'm not going to tell you.
Okay, I'll tell you this. There's a few definitions for the sources for the word Israel.
Okay.
I'm sure. What's the reason? What's the definition of Israel that you know of? I'm curious.
Tell me. Listen, I want to listen. I'm listening to your story.
No.
No,
A lot of people quote. No, a lot of people quote the Bible, the story, right? Jacob fighting the angel,
right.
and then Sarah El. So you
No.
wage war with the angel, and so that's one.
Okay.
There's another nice anagram, which is lirosh, which is like, it's like they need to be a sort of a head in this body, in this collective, that's the function of the Jew in the system. You have very few of them. We have a whole video on that where we play we're the hubs in the system of nodes and all of that. But then there's another definition, which is the one that a lot of our sages talk about, which is Yashar El.
Yeah, God preserves.
No, Yashar El, straight to the creator.
Yashar LaElohim. Okay.
Yashar El, exactly. It's the group that was established not just to have a good life, but it's actually to reveal something higher, a higher quality in its midst, and then also the rest of the world. Because if you can be that vessel that holds the contradictions, if you can have this love on top of things, you can start to feel a higher force, a force of that through equivalence of form, through a very simple relationship. And so there's a potential for something way bigger, we think. And we'd love to talk about it, but fortunately we're out of time. So
tune in next week for those who want to know what Israel actually means.
yes. Yuval, look, I put a quote in the chat. We
Put a
asked
quote in the chat.
Yeah, yes, because we like to talk about our sages a lot. So this is from Likutei Halachot. If you don't mind reading it, you can, and you can also say a few words afterwards, or you could just bow.
So
out.
the quote you just shared with me here is, the vitality is mainly through unity, by all the changes being included in the source of the unity. For this reason, love your friend as yourself is the great rule of the Torah, to include in unity and peace. The vitality, sustenance, and correction of the whole of creation is mainly by people of differing views becoming included together in love, unity, and peace.
Oh, I got the chills. Nice one, Leo.
That was a good one. It's a great one, you know. We can all. I really wish. I think I'm just going to spend the day talking like this.
Good.
If we
I like
focus on being unified, what does it mean to be unified?
Yeah.
Who is unified? That's
Next
the way
time,
to
if
do
you
it.
would, if you come back, if you can do it in costume too, so like
I
do
will.
this accent the whole
Absolutely. No,
time.
I think I will.
Maybe even like do a wardrobe change, like
I will
do the
do
show in
wardrobe
thirds. You could be like 3 different Jews through the show.
Three
Different
Jews.
opinions, yeah.
Yeah, 3 Jews. Yeah, 5 opinions. But I don't agree. Why don't you agree? Why should I agree with myself? What kind of person doesn't agree with himself? A
Seth and I are
Jew
going to
doesn't
leave.
agree with himself.
They're going to leave you with Yuval David here, and he's going to stay and continue to talk to himself.
Next episode of the podcast is just Yuval disagreeing with himself. Welcome to my world, especially pre-coffee. Once I have my coffee, then I agree with myself.
Everything's chill. So maybe next talk we'll do post-coffee.
Post-coffee, yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I like this. Yuval David. I only met this one, but I like it.
You only know the pre. Yeah, it's like the pre-coffee Jew.
No, I mean I saw you on some TV interviews, so I know you can be a little more level.
Reserved. I've been I've actually openly admitted I'm in my angry phase. I've entered
the angry phase.
Well, not so much. I don't know. Maybe I'm out of the angry phase, but I've been in the angry phase
the loving phase
for a while. Maybe you've helped. Maybe I'm transitioning.
Do you want to promote something, by the way, on our show? Is there something to look out for? A book, a show, a film?
There's some great stuff that is soon to be public, so I'll be promoting it soon. Okay. But what I do actually want to promote, definitely connect and follow across social media. I get so many horrendous hate messages and death threats and calls from the FBI warning me that I'm being targeted by Islamist groups and white supremacist groups and neo-Nazi groups and even Queers for Palestine and all these ridiculous hate organizations. So please follow, like, share, subscribe to all of my social media. You can find me at Yuval David everywhere. And the reason is we need to shift the algorithms. So many people speak about the algorithms of social media as if it's something, some omniscient being that we can't control, but we control the algorithm. So if you follow somebody and you engage with their social media posts, whoever follows you is likely going to see that person's posts. And if you hate somebody and you engage with them, then the people who like you probably will also hate this other person. Now, how do we shift the algorithm? If you love, like, share, comment, and save the posts of this person, and you exude positivity towards that person, all those who are following you and your friends are going to embrace that positivity. Social media has become a cesspool of anger and hatred and vitriol. It is up to us to shift the algorithm. And you can start by following me across all social media.
To world peace.
By the way, algorithm is also Muslim. So I don't know if algorithm. So it's a Muslim thing. So I don't know if we can win that one.
It's an Islamist thing.
It's an Islamist thing. Algebra, algorithm. They're all Al-Qaeda. But anyway, we'll talk about it all in our next episode. Friends, this has been an amazing talk with Yuval David. Follow him, share everything, all the great stuff.
First step to world peace.
First step to world peace is to follow, like, and share Yuval David's posts.
Yeah, everything you do with us, do with him, and vice versa, and we'll be all in a better place.
Inclusive, yeah.
And we'd love to have you back. I'd love to stay connected and
absolutely.
And keep spreading that amazing energy you have pre-coffee. So this is the Thejewfunction. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next
episode.
Thank you.
Have a great day, Yuval.
Bye, guys. Thanks.